Hey everyone, we're back. This is the second part of the fourth episode of the Brothers of Broad Street podcast. Now Bryce and I are going to break down the NFL draft and talk about who we have in our mock draft. We're just doing the first 12 picks. Obviously, the Eagles have the 12th overall pick in the draft tomorrow night. So we're just going to do up to 12. We're just going to do straight up, no trades or anything like that yet, just who we think's going where with the first 12 picks as they are. So Bryce, go ahead. You want to start off?
I'm going to start off with the number one pick. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to take Trevor Lawrence. There's nothing more, there's nothing, I'm not going to get into it. There's no reason to. I think everybody knows this is probably the biggest lock there is in this whole entire draft. He's definitely going number one. Number two, the New York Jets, same thing. They're taking Zach Wilson. No doubt. They're definitely taking Zach Wilson. I don't think I need to really get into that. Number three, here's where it gets a little tricky. No one knows who's going. I'm pretty confident. I think Shanahan, he's hearing it. I think Lynch and a lot of the organization's really into Lance. I think some of the players are into Fields. I think the scouts are hooked, and I think they're set on Mac Jones. I think Shanahan's a gut guy. I think he's going to go with his gut feeling. I heard the pick's already locked in. I personally think it's Mac Jones. We'll see, though, but I think they're going Mac Jones. Number four, Atlanta, and I said this earlier, and they're always that team. Atlanta sucks. But every year, instead of rebuilding, they kind of always convince themselves, like, no, we're good. We can do one more year. Matt Ryan still got one more year left in the tank. Julio still got one more year. Yeah, they're going to convince themselves again this year. So instead of taking, somebody better for their future, they're going to go someone that can help them win now. They're going to go with Kyle Pitts. He's a stud. I mean, he's in most drafts probably would go number one overall. I mean, the kid's a freak. Atlanta's definitely they're not going to mess up. They're not going to trade back. They're not going to do any of that. They're going to take Pitts at 4. Now, to me, this is the biggest pick of the draft. I've said it to a couple people, and I keep saying it. Cincinnati is going to determine this whole draft. I get there's San Fran. I get there's Atlanta. They can make big moves, but Cincinnati, I think, has one of the bigger picks. I've been hearing Jamar Chase teaming back up with Joe Burrow. I get that. Obviously, the kid's a stud. Jamar Chase is one of those guys that's going to step into the NFL and just be an NFL-type player right away. He was made for the NFL, and you could just tell off his college stuff, even though he didn't play last year. I mean, the guy's definitely a college. I mean, he's definitely a wide receiver, NFL ready. But I think the Bengals. I mean, I saw, Jimmy. I saw a picture. It was Joe Burrow sitting in a throne. It was their new pictures, and the thing that stood out to me about the picture?
Go, tell me.
The big scar right on his knee. That's because they don't build around you got to build around the franchise, period, the end. Yeah, Joe Burrow, it's great if he could throw to a couple guys. They've already got good wide receivers there. T. Higgins had a great season. He was the third best wide receiver stat-wise last year out of all the wide receivers. He was, I'm pretty sure, he was a second-round pick.
They picked him up late, yeah.
Yeah, they still got Tyler Boyd. He's a really, really solid wide receiver that's not talked about enough. So it's not like they're missing too much. They're obviously not like a win now type team. They need to build that offensive line. I know they got the kid they took from Bama the year before coming back. He was out all last year.
Did the Bengals have John Ross?
No, he signed with the Giants. He's out.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the Bengals, this guy is an absolute stud. He's only 20 years old and he's a freak. Penei Sewell, I think they got to take the guy that, they have to take the right pick here. No doubt whatsoever. They got to go with Penei Sewell. It's not the exciting pick, but you know what, Jimmy? I get it's not the sexy pick. I get this, but half the time the pick that's sexy doesn't work out compared to the pick that's not sexy. These offensive linemen that go early, that go in the first round. I know it's a deep offensive line draft, and you can still get a lot of other offensive linemen. I heard about that. The Bengals are picking top for most picks, but I think they got to take Penei Sewell. With number 6, Miami. Now, I've heard a lot of different things, and I think, they're pretty set on Waddle. I really do. I think they want to take him. I've been hearing that a lot of teams think he's going to be the next Tyreek Hill. I don't think there's going to be another Tyreek Hill for a little bit, but I definitely think the kid's a freak. He was the number one wide receiver coming into the whole entire thing before, his injury. But this is really tough. I don't think they were expecting Jamar Chase to be here, but I think they're going to stick with their guy. I think they're going to stick with their gut, and I think they're going to take Waddle 6. I really do. I think they're going to take Waddle. With my number 7 pick, realistically, I don't see Detroit picking here. But, since we have, we're just going to say it. I think Detroit, classic Detroit thing, they need every position they can get. But I think, even though I think they should take Rashad Slater out of Northwestern, I think that head coach is a moron. Dan Campbell isn't. He should not be an NFL coach. I think they're going to take Jamar Chase. I think they'll take the best player available. I think they'll take Jamar Chase, team him up with Jared Goff, who, that team looks like it's definitely going to struggle really bad. I don't see them picking here. I think they should take that offensive lineman, but I think they'll end up taking Jamar Chase just because he's too good to pass up. I think with the 8th overall pick, the Carolina Panthers, another team that I don't see realistically picking in this spot. I think, they're set on Sam Darnold being their guy. They could draft a quarterback. I doubt it. I think that'd be a bad move. Personally, I think with the number 8 selection, the Carolina Panthers will take Rashard Slater, the offensive lineman out of Northwestern. If you want to give Sam Darnold a shot, you got to give him a shot. Build him an offensive line. He never had an offensive. I'm not a Sam Darnold guy, by the way. I don't think he's very good, but I think he might have a solid season next year. Obviously with Adam Gase being your coach and being with the New York Jets, a dysfunctional organization. He's with the Panthers. I like Matt Rule a lot. I think they got to build around him solid. And, that starts with the offensive line. You definitely got to build him an offensive line. The wide receivers are there. They got Anderson. They got Moore. They lost Samuel, but they're still a solid team. Getting McCaffrey back. Plus Mike Davis had a solid season. That team, is definitely not bad. They drafted all defense last year in the draft. Some people don't know that every single pick last year was defense, which you don't really see often from a lot of teams. I think they're kind of set on defense. They've hit on almost all their defensive picks with Brown last year and the year before that. I forget the defensive end, but they've been really solid. They're a team that drafts well. I think they're going to take Slater right here. With the number 9 pick, the Denver Broncos, they're really not a bad team if you look at their roster, but what's holding them back is their quarterback play. Plain and simple, their quarterback has been bad. I was never a Drew Lock guy. I thought he was pretty bad. I don't think he's very mature for the NFL. And I heard that they want to go complete opposite of what Lock is. They want the complete opposite. I think you get either quarterback you get there. I'm a huge Trey Lance guy. I am, but I think the Denver Broncos with that pick will take I think they take Fields for sure. Another guy that probably won't be there at 9 realistically for Denver, but if he is, I understand Denver brought in today. I mean, they actually traded for Teddy Bridgewater today. This, that. At the end of the day, they have 2 quarterbacks there. Both quarterbacks aren't good. Locke is not solid whatsoever. And I've watched Teddy Bridgewater for years, and I keep saying this over and over again. I don't know where the hype comes from that guy. He's not a good quarterback. Do I like him? I like that he came back from the injury. I think he's cool. I think he's good for the game. I think he's got a great personality, but he's not a good quarterback. He's just like Tyrod Taylor to me. Another guy that's going to be in the league forever. He's going to be a backup because, he's just had experience. But Denver, if they want to be legit, if they want to be good, they got a lot of older guys. Their cornerbacks are old. They got Von Miller old. Bradley Chubb's coming into his own. If they want to win now, they have to get a quarterback, and that's the pick. They got, their wide receivers coming back. Their wide receiver core could be stacked next year, depending. Judy had a bad year, but he could bounce back. KJ Hamler's solid, and they're getting Cortland sent back. Plus, Noah Fant is a great tight end. They could have a really solid, deadly team next year if they pick right. I think Fields is perfect for that offense. They runs out of pocket. I don't have to get into it anymore. Number 10 is the Dallas Cowboys. Unfortunately, it actually hurt for me to say that. I don't know if you heard that. It hurt for me to say Dallas Cowboys. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. Their offense is there. They've got a great offense. Prescott's coming back. They've got 3 really good wide receivers. They've got a great running back. Their offensive line is a little bit down, but they're still a solid offensive line. They don't need offense. Their defense is horrible. They're going to go with the best cornerback on the board, Patrick Surtain II. He's solid. He's just similar to another great, cornerback. Another guy that definitely shouldn't be there at 10, and most drafts will not be there at 10. He is like a Jalen Ramsey type player to me. He was somebody that probably could have gone top 5 in most drafts, and he's going to end up, playing for Dallas, which hurts. They're going to have 2 cornerbacks. They drafted a cornerback last year as well. They're going to start building that defense. If Prescott's going to be there for all those years, they got all those big contracts with the offensive line, the offensive guys. They need to start building that defense if they want any chance to win. It's like you said, the amount of games that they lost where they scored 50 points but let up, 51 points is ridiculous. They got to start building that team. It's got to get better. And it starts with, defense. Defense wins championships. With the 11th pick, now this is kind of tricky. I also don't see the Giants picking here, but Gettleman doesn't like to he doesn't like to pass off picks. He likes to pick. He doesn't like to trade back. He doesn't like to trade up. He likes to take guys. The Giants are a very odd team. They're pretty solid in about every position. They don't really need defense. They had a top defense last year. Their cornerback's solid. Their safety's solid. They got solid linebackers, a solid line. Their offensive line needs work, but I don't see him taking one here with the two best guys off the board in my mock draft. How I see it is another thing. They're going to take the best guy on the board. The best guy on the board is Devontae Smith. And that hurts for me to hear. I want to see the Eagles take him. I like him, but I'm also not a huge guy on offensive wide receiver in the first round. That's besides the point. They just got Galladay. Galladay is an absolute stud. He's one of my favorite wide receivers in the league. I think he's got potential to be a top 5 guy. I think Daniel Jones is going to have a great year with Saquon coming back. They got Sterling Shepard. He's definitely on the downhill of his career. He hasn't been playing well. Evan Ingram, I know the Giants fans don't personally like him. I know he drops a lot of balls. They need to get another guy there. If they really want to settle down, they really want to win, they really want to compete, have a chance to make playoffs, have a chance to even make a little bit of a run, they need a guy that's going to make big plays. Devontae Smith is similar to me to a Jamar Chase, someone that I believe is going to step foot into the NFL and immediately make an impact. I think he's going to be an 1,000-yard, 7 touchdown plus guy, 75 catches. I think he's, we saw this stuff. I get that his body isn't perfect for the NFL, whatever, this and that, but it's like he said, this isn't bodybuilding. This is the NFL. If you can run, you can run. Tyreek Hill's not a big guy. There's plenty of guys that aren't big. Robbie Anderson that make great impacts and have great, have great careers. And I see Devontae Smith, one of those guys. And with the 12th pick, baby, realistically, with Trey Lance on the board, I would love the Eagles to take him at 12, the best player in this draft. I know Jim will disagree with that, but he's the best player in the draft, Trey Lance. I've heard a lot of reports. I also think there's a chance the Eagles don't pick here. I've been hearing reports that the Eagles might trade again and get another first-round pick for next year. I would also love that move. But no doubt whatsoever, another guy that definitely wouldn't be on the board this long in any other draft. I know it's tough. I want to take Parsons here. I'm a huge Parsons guy, and either one they take, I would love, but I think they're going to go with Horn. I think, Jim, when's the last time you felt comfortable about the Eagles cornerback position? Because me, I don't remember. Back in the day, that's what I remember being, last time I felt comfortable in the secondary. I think a guy like Darius Slay, who's coming off an off year, you give him an actual legitimate chance lining him up with another really solid guy. This is a guy that played in the SEC. He played legit competition. He was playing Bamas. He was playing great guys. He's a great tackler. People don't talk about that enough. He's great with the cover. He didn't allow anyone to get over 10 catches in some sort of weird stat like that. It was like ridiculous. I can't name it exactly. I wish I could. I forget it, but something ridiculous. He's a great cornerback. Another guy that definitely would be going way, way, way earlier in a draft that wasn't so crazy and wasn't so big on the quarterbacks. I do think realistically the Eagles could trade out of this. Howie Roseman's crazy. You never know what he's going to do. They could draft quarterback here. They could draft anything here. But, a big slip up and a name that definitely would go normally top 5 is Micah Parsons. The fact that he falls out of my 12 is crazy to think about. That he's an absolute steal there. But, I think the Eagles rather have Horn than Parsons. I think they're in love with Horn from what I heard. What do you think?
Majority of the picks, I agree with you, but looking at my picks, Lawrence Wilson obviously locks. This draft starts at the 3rd overall pick.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. This draft, once the 49ers made the trade, we all know that the draft starts.
We might as well, the 49ers the 49ers are on the clock. They're on the clock.
Zach Wilson already has his jersey in New York. Trevor Lawrence has been on Jacksonville ever since he finished off his season at Clemson.
Yeah, ever since the first round pick, ever since he committed to be in the NFL, he's been the number 1 pick.
Where this hype has generated around Mac Jones, I have no idea. I remember when we were watching, that college football championship, I was texting you and we were talking about how Mac Jones is the perfect system quarterback. Like he just fits that Alabama system. It's easy. And I'm not saying like his stats are there. Obviously he had a great season and everything like that. But any quarterback can succeed in that offense when you have Najee Harris out of the backfield. You have Devontae Smith. You have Jalen Waddle for part of the season. Even if Devontae Smith and Waddle aren't open, okay, perfect. Check down, throw it to Najee Harris. He'll go get you 10, 12 yards on, a breakout pass. So I don't agree with the pick. If I was the 49ers, I would be taking Justin Fields. But I think the 49ers are going to select Mac Jones with that 3rd overall pick.
Can I say something real quick? If I was the 49ers, I'd be taking Trey Lance. I just want to point that out there. If I was the 49ers, I'd be taking Trey Lance.
Mac Jones, to me, is just a younger, stronger version of Jimmy Garoppolo. That's just, I think they're just picking another Jimmy. They're picking like Jimmy Garoppolo's son. That's what I think.
To me, it's just like a safe pick. He's not a big play guy, but he's not a big mistake guy. He's going to hit those 10-yard passes. He's going to do this, but is he going to throw 50 yards down the field? Is he going to run out of the pocket and throw with his left hand? Absolutely not. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, they say he's got a good arm. Watching him play, it seems like it, but I never really saw him throw it down the field. Like, I feel like it was always in that championship game. I thought it was always screen passes.
he didn't have to. He didn't have to throw it down the field. That's the truth. He just didn't have to do it.
So Mac Jones, number 3, it just sounds like that's the way to go. Supposedly the 49ers pick is in. They have who they're going to pick. Number 4, I don't think the Falcons are going to be here. However, if it is how it is, I think they're taking Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts, to me, outside of Trevor Lawrence, is the best player in this draft. I mean, when you just look at the statistics from this past year, the dude's a stud. He can play inside. He can play outside. I really don't think there's going to be many guys in the league that are going to be able to cover him, straight up man for man. This dude's going to be a problem. So whoever gets him, they're getting a good player.
He's a guy that everyone keeps saying he might drop. This guy's not dropping. He's not. No chance.
Yeah, you're hearing stuff like, oh, he might fall to 10th, the Cowboys. Like, get out of here. This dude's not falling.
He's never fallen. He's never falling past 5. No chance.
Any smart GM, when you get a talent like that, you take the best player on the board. It's simple.
That was like my example with the Lions. Like you just take they take Jamar Chase. They have so many other needs, but you take Jamar Chase. He's the best player available.
Yeah. The number 5th pick is where our picks start to change a little bit. I agree with your pick about Penei Sewell. Joe Burrow, young, he's just coming off the ACL injury. You want to protect your franchise. I mean, the Bengals invested a lot to get him, However, when you talk about getting, making your franchise quarterback happy, the one problem with, teams is quarterbacks feel like they never go out and get a guy for them. Like in Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers, the Packers have never spent a first-round pick on a wide receiver. You know what I mean? Aaron Rodgers has always been hoping to get some kind of guy on that offense, to develop that chemistry with. Luckily, he got Devontae Adams. But Joe Burrow, when you talk about how great of that senior season that he just had, yes, he just had the injury, but his chemistry with Jamar Chase, that's unmatched. I think that the Bengals will not pass up that opportunity to link those two back up. I think Jamar Chase is going to the Bengals. Outside of Pitts, this dude has the makings of being an absolute stud, like you said.
He's NFL ready. Like he can play in the NFL.
Flat out playmaker. I was watching highlights today of him and Burrow. Those dudes, they just link up perfectly. It's just flat out chemistry. You make Joe Burrow happy with this pick. You give him excitement. You give the fan base of Cincinnati some excitement. I think it'd be really cool to see Jamar Chase. I mean,
going with the sexy pick, Jimmy. Going with the sexy pick. I'm not.
I'm not comparing this, but draft analysis that I've read about have compared Chase to being a Terrell Owens type player. I'm not comparing. I've just read about. I know no one's going to be Terrell Owens. I've read about that. It would be cool to see Chase and Burrow link up in Cincinnati.
For sure.
Number 6. Number 6. Who'd you have? I forgot.
I took. I think the Dolphins are set on Waddle. I really do. Yeah, I think they're taking.
They're going Jalen Waddle. I heard a report that came out today that says their pick's almost set in stone. I think this is kind of surprising because Waddle's coming off an injury. He didn't play much last year, but before that injury, Waddle was definitely the better wide receiver on Alabama, without question.
He was arguably number 1 wide receiver, even in front of Chase coming into this draft.
So hopefully that injury doesn't set him back to where he can have a nice season. You set him up, you put him back with Tua Tagovailoa, and they can make something happen. Once again, I think that's kind of like a Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. You get Waddle, you get Tua, get that chemistry going, build around that offense. Give the fan base something to look forward to. Number 7, we disagree here. Lions just hired head coach Dan Campbell. He's a defensive-minded head coach. Like you said, in any other draft, this guy Parsons is going early. He's that kind of talent. I think the Lions are selecting Micah Parsons with this 7th overall pick. I don't see how you could pass up an opportunity to get a center of the defense linebacker that can control that entire front. Dan Campbell would love to have him.
He reminds me of Darius Leonard on the Colts. I think he's going to just immediately come in and make a huge impact. But the issue is, I want to tell you something. What you're forgetting about the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions.
I know.
They're like similar to Cleveland. They're just the Detroit Lions. They just messed up. That's why I said Jamar Chase. Should they absolutely take Micah Parsons or cornerback because their quarterback did not work out from last year's first round pick? Absolutely. Will they? You never know.
Yeah.
But I doubt they'll pick. I really do. I doubt they'll pick in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be interesting. It depends on who's at the board at what time. Like, you
I
never
could see him
know.
going later
Like,
here or
if you,
Sue out.
yeah, I mean, if you get, like, say Pitts falls. Say Pitts falls. Did the Detroit Lions go snag him to link him up with Jared Goff? I don't know what could happen. Anything
I'm
can happen.
surprised you didn't go. I'm surprised you didn't go Sue out there. I feel like that would have been a really good pick.
Well, it's funny. So my next pick, you had Rashawn Slater here. I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm going Penny Sewell. Like you said, you just traded for Sam Darnold. Not to say you traded a first round pick or anything like that. I think you traded a second and a third. You just traded Teddy Bridgewater. You're kind of, showing a sign like, hey, we're going to give Sam Darnold some time to develop. Carolina really wasn't bad last year. They really weren't. They lost.
Their team is good, and I think they got a great coach.
There was a stat where they lost. I think they lost like 4 of their games by like 1 point or something crazy like that.
That's another thing people don't talk about enough with Carolina is they are a great drafting team. Like, if you look at their last couple first round picks, they have all been impact players. Every single one of them has been an impact player. They drafted all defense last year, so I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you want to really give Sam Darnold a chance, you got to protect him.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Darnold, like you said, he had no help in New York whatsoever. I mean, the Jets are an awful franchise. Hopefully they can get some help for Wilson because I think Wilson's got the talent to succeed. But I think the Carolina Panthers are going Sue out to get Darnold the protection. Now, 9, this is where we disagree. So the Carolina Panthers just traded today Teddy Bridgewater to Denver, correct?
Correct. That did happen.
All right. That right there is just an indicator to me that Denver is picking a quarterback with that 9th overall pick because you bring Teddy Bridgewater in. He's a good veteran presence. He's at that quarterback for, one year or so. Show the way, and then you bring in this young guy, get him a year into the system and then bring him in 2 years from now. It's not like he's a first overall pick where he's got to come in and he's the 9th pick. I think Denver's taking Trey Lance.
No, we agree there. We both think they're going quarterback. I said Justin.
No, I think you said Fields. Yeah. No, I'm saying Trey Lance.
I thought you said yeah. No, now I get you. Yeah, I was gonna say
No. We agree. Same concept. Same idea. Definitely.
How I see it is if they draft. Sorry to cut you off. If they draft quarterback, Locke won't be on the team. Like they'll trade him for a late, like a 6th or 7th round pick. Like he won't be on the team. Bridgewater's going to be on the team, but they won't keep Locke around. Like he'll get traded.
Well, I think like when you look at like, I mean, remember the year that the Eagles drafted Carson Wentz? They still had Sam Bradford and they signed Chase Daniel, right? And then they got rid of Sam Bradford. Or no, they traded Sam Bradford, but they had Chase Daniel. Chase Daniel was going to be the quarterback.
Yeah.
That to me is what Teddy Bridgewater is going to do. Teddy, I think Teddy's, kind of not getting a fair, shot because I think he's not a bad quarterback. He played well with the Saints. He had went like 6-0, and then he came over to Carolina and they weren't really that good. But Teddy Bridgewater, 1 year here in Denver. He's going to be that stopgap. Trey Lance is going to get 1 year into the system. My concern about Trey Lance is this.
Here we go. The amount of games he played in college. I know where you're going with this.
Trey Lance, for those listening out now, Trey Lance has played 17 career total games. Now, granted, he had an injury, and with COVID-19, he couldn't really play, full seasons. But 17 total games. There's 2 quarterbacks who started in the NFL that played those amount of games in their college career. Do you know who they are?
17, like that were picked in like a first round or just in general?
That started in the NFL, picked in the first round. Yep, picked in the first round. There's 2 quarterbacks above them. I think there might be a third. I can't think of it though. There's 2 quarterbacks that only played 17 career college games that were first round picks.
Is Paxton Lynch one of them?
One of them's your boy.
Sam Bradford?
No. You're hot. You're hot. Think Eagles.
Eagles, my boy. First.
You got a picture with this guy years ago.
Oh my God, my boy Donovan McNabb?
Mark Sanchez.
Oh my God, Mark Sanchez. God.
Mark Sanchez only played 17 career college games. And
wow.
This is where people say like, oh, he didn't have
you with the facts.
He didn't have he didn't. Yeah, I saw it was a tweet the other day. I thought it was interesting. No, but Mark Sanchez, someone will say, oh, he didn't have a bad career, whatever, made to the AFC Conference Championship. No.
Beat Tom Brady in the playoffs twice.
Stop. He didn't beat Tom Brady. That defense was one of the best ever assembled in the history of the NFL. They had Darrelle Revis, Antonio Cromartie. You could just rattle off the names. Rex Ryan that was prime Rex Ryan. That team.
That was fat Rex Ryan.
That was
a real fat Rex Ryan. That was
that was
300 plus pounds.
that was healthy Rex Ryan.
Yeah.
But he's one guy. Name the other quarterback with 17 career college games.
Can you give me a hint? Is he like?
He was just recently picked a couple years ago. He's no longer a starter. He's actually on the
Josh Rosen.
He's on the Bills now.
Jake Fromm.
Backing up Josh Allen now. He's on the Bills.
Oh my God, Trubisky.
Yep, Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you guys out there have really watched Mitchell Trubisky play. Guy had one good season, but that Bears defense was insane. But he's not good. So there's my one reason for concern, because there's not much film on Trey Lance for teams. The athletic ability is obviously there.
I was just going to say, can I make the point? He is so much better of an athlete than Mark Sanchez and Mitch Trubisky are. Like 10 times the athlete they are.
I wouldn't jump. Mitchell Trubisky was the first overall pick because of his athletic ability. That's why teams loved him. That's why the Bears jumped up as hard as they did.
That guy was a bus running all over it.
It's easy to say now, but looking back, the Bears hopped over. I mean, it's because teams just overthink when it comes to the draft, and that's why the draft's awesome. Because we can sit here and talk about it all night. But that's just my one reason for concern for Lance. There's a small sample size. I mean, 17 career games is not a lot, and it's not like
That's such a John Elway pick, though. Trey Lance going to Denver, that would be so exciting.
That's what I don't know. That's why I think Trey Lance is going to Denver. You bring Teddy Bridgewater in, you get him in the system. But for me, Trey Lance, it's not like he played 17 career games at the SEC. I mean, no offense to the league that he played in, but North Dakota State is not Alabama. It's not Clemson. It's not Georgia. You're not playing, those top teams. So I think Lance at 9. Anyway, we agree on this, the 10th pick. Surtain's going to the Cowboys. You hear talk that now they want to draft Slater for offensive line protection, and because their offensive linemen been getting hurt. You're hearing Kyle Pitts, if he might fall, that's not going to happen. So they got to shore up that defense. You just signed Dak Prescott to that deal. You can't get any more offensive talent than what they have. I mean, they have Elliott, they have Cooper, CD Lamb, and
Gallup.
I mean, those guys are good. If not the best, one of the best trios. Number 11. I'm nervous about the Giants this season. I don't know about you.
I'm freaking out about it.
Nervous.
They're really good.
This is Daniel Jones' third year in the system.
I think the Giants are really good.
You bring Saquon Barkley back off of injury. They just signed Kenny Galladay. It's not like Kenny Galladay's, a DeAndre Hopkins or anything like that, but the dude's solid. I mean, he was playing in Detroit.
And I think he's a top 5 guy healthy. I really do.
He was playing in Detroit with no one else around him. He was their main guy. So obviously defenses can zone in on him. Now you have him. You have Sterling Shepard. You have Evan Ingram.
Oh, they had a kid. What's his name? Who killed Darius Slayton? He's really good.
Yeah.
He's really good. Yeah, I forgot about him. He's really solid.
And they're drafting Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
Somehow, I mean, it's crazy when you look at the talent. I think teams are overlooking this too. What wide receiver has a season that Devontae Smith just had? 23 touchdowns, Heisman Trophy, over 1,000 yards receiving, obviously. The size is probably scaring people, but like what Devontae Smith said, like what you said, that doesn't matter in the NFL. People can put so many different players in different schemes and different formations to set them up. And
Speed kills.
Yeah. I mean, dude, the guy can flat out run. At number 12, I don't think the Eagles are going to be here.
I agree. I don't think they'll be there.
I don't think they're going to be here, but if we're doing straight up and as it is, you're taking Horn. I don't. Obviously, the dude's attitude and mentality, I love listening to him talk and stuff like that. He fires me up. I think he would fit well in Philadelphia. But then again, I'm a little bit nervous. I mean, nothing against the University of South Carolina or anything like that, but you're not playing, you're not playing the best wide receivers. You're not going up. I don't know. He did have.
He played some good. Their South Carolina plays some good teams, man. They do.
I know, but he's not playing the talent that Surtain was playing.
That's fair.
But then again, so Alabama's defense had more players on defense than South Carolina's. Horn is obviously an athletic freak, and wide receivers only converted on 33% of their catches against him. So he's flat out lockdown.
Yeah, that's insane.
The Eagles draft him. You get some stability over at that second cornerback position. You don't like Darius Slay. I do.
I'm not a Slay guy.
I think that he's good. He might be able to show Horn the ropes a little bit and stuff like that and help him out. But that's my top 12. What do you think? What do you think the first trade is going to be?
I think personally, the first trade is I don't see. I think it could be Atlanta. I don't think they are. I think Atlanta's dumb, man. I think Atlanta's going to take Kyle Pitts. I really do. I'm not saying he's not going to be the best because he's going to be great, but Atlanta is Atlanta. I realistically think the first trade will be 7. I think Detroit. I don't see him picking here. They're in big, huge rebuild mode. Jared Goff isn't great. The whole team around them, they lost all their wide receivers. They didn't really get anybody. They need to start developing. They need to get a ton of picks around them. I see them trading out of that spot. I also see Carolina trading out of their spot. 7 or 8 for sure. Detroit and Carolina will not be. I mean, at least one of them will not be picking there.
Yeah.
I could see Denver trading if they're really set on maybe Bridgewater and Locke having a competition and seeing which one can win it out. I doubt it. I would never do that.
I think Denver staying put, but I could definitely see Denver trading up if they get nervous.
So,
you don't know what Carolina's going to do.
Yeah, in my opinion, and I don't know how you can disagree with this, if the Philadelphia Eagles, this was actually said by Adam Schefter. I think I might have sent it to you earlier. He was on a talk show host today in Philly, and he said that there was a team that asked him, which is crazy that people just go to like Adam Schefter, like he's literally like just like a guy that talks about it and just hired by ESPN, but like teams actually talk to him. A team said, "Do you think that the Eagles would be interested in getting another first round pick for next year?" So there's potentially a team willing to trade for our spot and give us their first round pick this year plus their first round pick next year. And Jim, all jokes aside, you could say what you want. Having 4 possible first round picks in next year's draft is insane. That's insane.
It's unheard of. But for me, until Howie Roseman shows that he actually has some draft success, it doesn't matter because that guy's.
I have faith in him. I really do.
He hasn't picked a Pro Bowler in the last 7 years.
A blind squirrel finds his nut, Jimmy. It's his time.
I know, but at some point, as a GM, first off, there's been 4 different head coaches. So obviously there's some disconnect between what the coaches want and what Howie Roseman wants.
Well, you can't fault him for the Chip Kelly era because he had no control then. Chip Kelly was the GM and coach. You can't fault him there. He was just there.
All right.
I'm being realistic.
I'll give you that. And it's not like Chip Kelly was the greatest GM either. Who did he pick? What was that? He picked like a fireman, right? What was his name?
No, that was Andy Reid picked him. Danny Watkins, the only bad player of the 2011 draft. That's probably one of the best drafts, if not the best draft of all time.
Chip Kelly picked Marcus Smith. That's who it was.
Marcus Smith, all-time bust. He picked Aguilar. Obviously,
yeah,
things could have been better.
But I mean, Howie Roseman is not good in the draft. So you sent me that text today. For me here, I would make that trade. If you can get another first-round pick, I would make that trade. However, I would only make that trade if Pitts, Chase, and Justin Fields were not on the board. I don't know why, but for some reason, those are the 3 guys that I really think the Eagles should be looking at. Because I don't think Surtain's going to be there. I think he's going to the Cowboys. Unless
I think Surtain's the biggest lock of this draft going to the Cowboys. He's never dropping past 10. I think Surtain actually.
He's not dropping past 10. I think if anything,
there's a chance Surtain gets picked even before the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think that Howie Roseman's blind to how bad our secondary is. I don't see him trading up to draft Surtain, to get him in front of the Cowboys. Because even last year, he didn't draft up to prevent the Cowboys from getting CeeDee Lamb. So I don't see him preventing any of that. I heard the other day that you have to look out, like you just said, Eagles trading back to get a first round pick. I've heard about the Eagles trying to get back into the top 10 because when
I heard that too. I think it's out.
yeah,
I think it's out personally. I don't see him trading out.
I wouldn't count it out because when the Eagles were at number 6,
There's so much talent in this draft though. Like, think about it. We're gonna probably have the opportunity to either draft Michael Parsons or Horn, and those guys are those are top 7, top 5 picks in a normal draft, Jim. And we can get them at 12. That's crazy.
at 12, say the clock strikes at 12, and we have and Devontae Smith and Horn are on the board. Who are you picking?
I'm going Horn because, and hear me out. I've said it to you multiple times. I say it to a lot of people. I'm not very into drafting a wide receiver, tight end, running back, position players that can be easily replaceable and that don't have very long careers in the first round. I think the first round is all about picking the non-sexy players, the offensive line, obviously the quarterback, the ultimate sexy pick, but like when not a quarterback, I'm into taking the not sexy picks, the offensive lineman, the quiet cornerback, the linebacker, or the defensive end that was, went to a small school and that was solid. Like, I mean, that's what I think. I have a feeling you'd probably go with Smith.
I'm taking Devontae Smith. When you get a chance at, like we just talked about, the Heisman Trophy winner.
I mean, I would be. Don't get me wrong. I'd be thrilled about it.
No, dude. I totally, dude. I mean, obviously, there's a case for Horn. I heard this question the other day, and I'm like, wow, this is actually an intriguing question because if it does come down to that, I mean, that's like a coin toss. Heads or tails, which either way, you're happy with the pick.
You got to imagine how he has that case scenario in his head, and he kind of knows who he's going to take. You have to think of those case scenarios. What if Micah Parsons and Horn are on the board? Am I taking Parsons or am I taking Horn? What if somehow, some way, I don't know. You never know if he's interested in taking a quarterback. If Justin Fields is somehow there at 12, do I take Justin Fields? Do I take Horn? You know what I mean? He probably has a million things going through his head. But I see, honestly, that's something that people are talking about. If one of the 5 guys are there,
you take them.
Maybe Mac Jones might not be. I'd be able to take it.
I wouldn't take Mac Jones. If Justin,
I also would not take him. I think if Trey Lance and Justin Fields somehow one of them's there at 12, I think the Philadelphia Eagles have to take them.
Have to take them. There's no guarantee.
Would you be mad if they took Trey Lance at 12?
Like I said, I haven't watched the guy play.
I'd be the happiest man in the world.
Yeah, I haven't watched the guy play. But for me, what everyone says about him, the athletic.
It would be the quickest jersey purchase of my life. Of my life.
You probably already ordered the jersey just in case.
Oh my God. I got a North Dakota State one coming in. I'm about to get his high school one.
If Trey Lance or Justin Fields is on the board at 12, you take him. Because here's the thing. Jalen Hurts is a run-first quarterback, no matter what anyone wants to say. He's got a greater chance of getting hurt. And his arm, he showed some arm strength at the end of last year, but his arm is not nearly as talented as Justin Fields or Trey Lance. It's just not.
No, not. I mean, listen, I'm not a Fields guy. I've actually kind of slowly crept into being a little bit more bought into him. I'm still not a huge Fields guy. I think he's definitely could have potentially a really good career. It depends on the team that drafts him. If he goes to like the 49ers, I could see him definitely having a really, really, really good NFL career. But if he goes to the team like, let's just say, Broncos, I don't know. Vic Fangio is a horrible coach to me. This is his last year there. They'll have a disappointing year, I believe, if they don't make this pick the right thing. And Vic Fangio's in win now mode. By the way, he has to win. He has to win this year. But that's off topic. But I'm just saying, if Justin Fields goes to a team like that, I definitely can see him struggling really, hard. And it's obviously always tough, like, when a head coach gets fired and you're especially young. I saw the other day. Do you know the quarterback? His first 8 years in the NFL, he had a different head coach every single year. Can you name the quarterback? First round pick.
Baker Mayfield.
Blaine Gabbert. Has never had the same coach in back-to-back years in 8 years. Off topic, huge. He was almost arguably the number 1 pick in the draft back in the day over. I think it was Cam Newton, but that's another guy. I mean, it's hard to win.
I didn't hear you say 8 years. I thought you were saying.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I thought you said his years.
I mean, I doubt you would have gotten Blaine Gabbert, real random name.
No, I didn't even think. I saw It's funny. I saw like a Sports Illustrated magazine on Twitter the other day, like the cover of the Cam Newton draft. It was
And him.
Cam Newton, Jake Locker, and Blaine Gabbert, and they were like, who to pick.
No, Blaine Gabbert, I was watching a video on it, and like there was like 30% of teams said if they had the number one pick in the draft or something like that, they would have taken him.
Yeah.
Crazy, but that's off topic. But that's big for Fields, especially Fields. Like, I think what really depends is what team he goes to. Obviously, if I think the scariest thing in the draft, and not a lot of people are talking about, if somehow, some way, Trey Lance or Fields falls to New England Patriots, the whole league is in big trouble.
New England's not trading up, so they're only
It's not in their game. Bill
if
Belichick
anything, they're trading down. If anything, they're
Yeah.
trading down because in obviously years past they trade down and tap on a couple extra picks. They're not trading up to get. Belichick's never done that in his career, so he's not going to do it now.
It's not changing now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just his way. But dude, like you said, if Trey Lance or Justin Fields falls to them, they're not going to pass up the opportunity. Cam Newton's like a Teddy Bridgewater. He's a stopgap. He's not going to be their franchise quarterback for years to come. He'll be good for a year, maybe two. Let those guys develop.
Clearly, the Stidham thing didn't work out. They were real high on him for a while. And
that was just all talk. But anyway, I want to go back to your point real quick about, quarterbacks entering a certain system. Listen to this stat. All quarterbacks selected in the first round, 42% of them do not make it to the second contract with their team. So almost half of the quarterbacks selected in the first round do not make it to their second contract with the team that took them.
I believe that. You want to know what, another point I want to make? You know what I was thinking? You ever think about it? Every year it's the same thing in the draft. There's like 3 or 4 quarterbacks taken almost in the first round. Don't you ever think there's only so many teams in the NFL?
Yeah.
That brings up the point. Like, I mean, there's so many misses. So many misses.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy when you think of it. And that's why what you just said is a perfect example. Where Justin Fields goes is going to determine the career that he has. It's not like he's just a dominant force, just going to, whatever, he's just going to change the program. But if he goes to, say, the 49ers, if they pick him over Mac Jones, or if he comes to the Eagles, or if he falls to the Patriots, then he's going to have a great career because he does have that talent. I mean, this guy threw 6 touchdowns in a game, more than incompletions.
I think his best case scenario is honestly the 49ers, even over New England. I think he would fit perfect in that scheme. I think a big thing of what they're missing is that team is deadly. It is so good, but Jimmy Garoppolo has been holding them back. He's not very good in the pocket. He's not quick at all. I think Fields has a better arm than him. He's way more athletic than him. He's a big play guy. And with those type, he's got a lot of talent around him. Ayuk and, Kittle and a bunch of solid running backs. Plus, I think Shanahan's a phenomenal coach. If he goes there, he could have a great, he could have a really, really great career.
I think that Jimmy Garoppolo holding them back is kind of like a, what's people just generate. Like, I think that's just like the media, like talking. The 49ers record with Jimmy Garoppolo is insanely good. I think they're like 20 something 4.
Yeah, but he reminded me of that whole span when he was the quarterback. He reminded me of like a Trent Dilfer. He was just the guy that was the quarterback.
He's not flashy or anything like that. He's another system quarterback, but he fits well in that system. I mean, and he was one missed throw away from winning that Super Bowl. Like if he hit Sanders, they were winning.
But clearly, they think Mac Jones can make that throw.
I know. I mean, Kyle Shanahan obviously loves Mac Jones. I don't know. I would keep Jimmy G.
I think another big thing is what we always miss, and we can't experience this, and we don't know. But I mean, the biggest part of the draft is interviews. Like they've interviewed
beforehand.
Yeah, like they've interviewed Mac Jones, Justin Fields a million times, Trey Lance. That's something that we obviously don't get to know about. We don't get to experience. I mean, one of these guys could be a complete tool.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's that stuff's behind closed doors, obviously. And
that's just a little point I like to make. Like, you never know. Like maybe Justin Fields, they don't love his personality. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't have a good personality. I don't know anything about anything like that, but then maybe they think Mac Jones is more mature.
No, yeah, they could be like, oh, this guy doesn't fit well in the locker room.
Also, like, I mean, we don't know how well they scored in their Wonderlic. That matters a lot. I mean, that teams really judge how well they do on their Wonderlic and stuff. Maybe Mac Jones scored higher on his Wonderlic than Justin Fields and Trey Lance.
Yeah.
It's just a point. It's just a point. It's a small point, but it's a point to be made.
No, yeah, I think there's going to be a trade that I think Carolina just trading Teddy Bridgewater. I don't think that takes him out of a race for a quarterback. Like you said, I mean, if Lance and Fields are there, how do you pass up that opportunity? Sam Darnold's not a guaranteed starting quarterback for your next 5 or 6 years. He's not.
I agree, man. I agree so
So,
much.
yeah,
Like, I
so
mean,
you
if they
have
could
to
get
pass
like,
for talent like that.
if you get a same thing with them, I think they're a really, really solid team with a great head coach. They're young, and I think another team that's ready to really take another step forward. And if they can draft, if they think Darnold's the guy and they want to go with him, I understand. But I mean, if you want to take Justin Fields or Trey Lance there, I mean, I would completely understand.
Yeah, for me, I don't see how. I see Justin Fields as like, I mean, years ago, I was texting you about this today. Justin Fields is going to be the Deshaun Watson of this draft. Teams are just overlooking him for some reason. This quarterback, he played hurt the majority of this last season. But Justin Fields, outside of Trevor Lawrence, was from day one the second ranked best quarterback in this draft class. And then for some reason, he's just falling. I have no idea why.
Maybe a personality thing. That's like the point I like to make.
But I think
Maybe.
teams are going to pay. I think teams are going to regret passing on him. I really do. And I hope he falls to the Eagles. And I hope Howie Roseman's smart enough to bring back the quarterback factory and draft him.
I'm just not in love with him, man. I really don't think he's anything special. I don't know. I really don't know. Trey Lance, dude. Please, Harry Roseman, if you're listening, if he's there at 12, please take him. Please. Please.
Can I ask why you like Trey Lance so much? Is it just because of his size?
Just everything I've watched all of his college highlights. I think the dude is just electric. I think he's hard to tackle. I think he's a big play guy. I think, the only thing
Sounds like
people
Carson Wentz 2.0.
don't say that guy's name.
It does, though. It does.
It does, but I mean, I just think Trey Lance has just a hell of an arm. I just think he's got that mindset. I feel like I like me personally. I like the small town guys. I do. I like the guys that didn't go to big schools. I like the guys that more need to prove themselves. Like obviously Trevor Lawrence doesn't need to prove himself. I mean, yes, he does. He's the number one pick, but he doesn't need to prove himself. Like no one's doubting him. He was the number one player at his age since the time he's been throwing a football. He's been the number one guy. Like I just feel like Trey Lance has a lot to prove. I feel like he's got a big chip on his shoulder. I feel like personally, he probably thinks deep down in his head that he should be the number one pick in the draft. Trey Lance, if you're listening, I believe you should be the number one pick in the draft. And I watched this guy's arm. I watched his highlights. He can run and he can run. He makes big plays. He can break tackles. He can, you know, throw on the run. He's got all the mechanics that is similar to how Carson Wentz was coming out of the draft. Same type of player. I mean, if he never gets hurt, I see him having a really, really, really successful NFL career. I see him being one of the top guys. I could see him being like a Russell Wilson. I really do. I could see him being really similar to a Russell Wilson. That's kind of the player I see most when I watch his highlights.
It's funny you say Russell Wilson because that's who I kind of, when I was watching Justin Fields highlights, that's who I compared him to. Like that kind of just roll out of the pocket, throw on the run type kind of thing. I don't know. I'm a Justin Fields guy. You're a Trey Lance guy. I have nothing against Trey Lance at all. I mean, I would be happy if the Eagles selected him.
I'm a huge Trey Lance guy, not just like a Trey Lance guy, like the biggest Trey Lance guy you can be. Like,
well, I mean, hopefully a team that has a solid organization, strong base, everything like that, good foundation selects him because it sounds like he's got the makings of what could be a good quarterback in the NFL.
I have a feeling we're going to be giving the Eagles an A tomorrow. I really do. I have a feeling the Eagles are going to get an A.
I don't. I mean, now the rumors are breaking that you got Quiddy Pay, defensive
Yeah,
end
I don't want.
Michigan. Like, are you kidding
He's
me?
really good, but I don't
He's
want
good.
that.
He's
Yeah,
good. But are you kidding me? That
but
doesn't
he's
fit
like
with
more.
us.
Yeah. Unless
I mean,
you trade Barnett.
well, I was just about to say, you drafted Barnett a couple years ago. You haven't done anything to develop him. You have Josh Sweat now. Still, you have Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham on the team. You don't need defensive line help. You don't. Don't
No, yeah,
select
that's literally one of the.
overall
That's
pick.
the.
Yeah. That'd be terrible. That'd be terrible. I have nothing against the player himself. I think he's going to have a good career too. He was a stud at Michigan. But come on now. Like, come on.
Yeah, but we got so many more needs. Like literally anything else. We can't be taking him. Maybe that's if we trade down, honestly. If we trade down.
Who do you think we trade with? I see, you know what I see happening? I do think the Patriots are trading for Jimmy Garoppolo. There's been a lot of rumors swirling in the past couple of hours about that happening. Supposedly, Bill Belichick's trying to work on a contract restructure with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's bad news if they bring him back. I think the Patriots are going to be pretty good. But I also think the Bears, you got to watch. I think the Bears make a trade up and try to get in that top.
Well, that was the team I was going to say real quick was I think the Bears are going to try to trade up and take a quarterback.
That defense is loaded from top to bottom, and it's a shame that they don't have a quarterback to go with. Allen Robinson's still a stud. I mean, look at all the quarterback changes they had last year, and Allen Robinson still put up numbers like he did.
Yeah, and he didn't even want to be there. Like, he played miserable, and he still played well.
We have, Philly legend Trey Burton. Or is he still there? No, he left.
No, he's been gone. He was with the Colts. He was with the Colts this year and actually played really well. He's a stud. He's a stud.
Did he resign?
I think he's still with them. I hope he is. If he's not, can the Eagles sign him? I'm telling you, that dude, he's a stud, man.
You know what I can see happening? Talking about tight ends, Philly legends. Ertz is getting traded tomorrow night.
Well, yeah, Ertz, no doubt. If it's not tomorrow night, it will be. But I'm going to be honest. I don't see the Eagles getting more than a 6th-round pick, at best a 5th-round pick for Zach Ertz. I think his value's.
Yeah, they tried getting a 3rd or 4th round pick for him after the season, and no teams were biting. So his trade value is definitely dropped.
Listen, I loved Zach Ertz, and I think he was great. I think he was, really solid. I think he was fun to watch, but it's over. His career, he just, he's not like a Travis Kelce. He's not like a George Kittle. He's not athletic like that. I knew his career wouldn't last very long. We're better off getting rid of him now. Was the contract the right thing to do at the time? Absolutely, coming off a Super Bowl and all that. But it's time to get rid of Zach Ertz. It's time to, send him to a team that's in win now mode that, could use a solid tight end. But from what I heard, they valued Julio Jones at like a 3rd-round pick. So that means, I can't imagine what Zach Ertz would be valued at. Probably like a 6th, 7th-round pick. But yeah, we definitely have to get rid of him. We have to get something for him.
Yeah, I think that's a must.
He also doesn't have any desire to play for the Eagles anymore.
He doesn't. You get rid of all his guys now. It's sad to see him. He's definitely gone. Hopefully they can link him back up in Indianapolis. I'd love to see him with Ertz again under Frank Reich. I would. I mean,
God, get over yourself.
I think I'm gonna switch to a Colts fan. I got this season. I gotta be honest.
You make me sick, dude.
But no, really, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. Do you have anything else you want to add?
If the Eagles don't take wide receiver in the 1st round, I think they'll get wide receiver in the 2nd round. I think they'll take Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss. That kid's also a stud.
I agree with you there. I agree with you there. Elijah Moore, and then who was the other guy? Terrence Marshall.
Yes, Terrence Marshall. Yeah. I also think I could see him taking I would love to see this. I really would. If they go wide receiver in the 1st round, cornerback 2nd round, you know who I'm going to say? Asante Samuel Jr. I would absolutely love to see him in the green, just like his dad.
It'd be cool.
His dad was a phenomenal player. If he could be, even a 4th of what his dad was, he'd be a really solid player in the NFL.
His dad knows the city of Philadelphia. He'd be able to help him out.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be probably all jokes aside. I mean, I think this is going to be the best draft of possibly our lifetime. There's so much talent. The Eagles are in prime position to make, we don't know who they're going to pick.
One move is not several moves.
Like this draft isn't that exciting for Jaguars and Jets fans. They know who they're taking.
Yeah.
This draft is crazy for 49ers, Falcons, Bengals, Patriots, Broncos, us. Like, this is a crazy draft for those types of teams. I'm really looking forward to it. I think there's so much talent, man. I think this is going to be one of those drafts. There's going to be guys that go in like the, early 2nd, late 3rd, early 2nd, 3rd round that are going to be like, well, how is this guy not taken in the 1st round? And I also don't see, I know this sounds crazy. I don't see a lot of these guys being bust. I really don't. I think Trevor Lawrence is Trevor Lawrence. I think he'll play okay there. I don't think he'll be anything special because he's in Jacksonville. I think Zach Wilson is a bust. I do think that.
I think Zach Wilson's a bust, not because of him, the player, but because of the organization that he's going to.
I agree. I don't think he's a phenomenal player. I think he's a little overhyped right now because
I think Mac Jones is a bust. I'm sorry, I do. I think he's a bust.
I can see that. I think Mac Jones will play solid.
Alabama quarterbacks do not have good careers in the NFL. It
Yeah,
does not translate. Does
I,
not
I know,
translate.
I get that, but what's big with Mac Jones is what team takes him. That's what's huge for Mac Jones. What team takes him? I see him having a good amount of success with the 49ers. I mean, that's it's very rare for a team with a top 3 pick that picks a quarterback to immediately go into like a playoff type team. It's very rare. Like Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson aren't going to the playoffs. They're not.
For a while. Not for a while.
Yeah, I mean, there's
No,
just so much.
you
There's
select
so much. There's so much excitement in this draft. Like Kyle Pitts could drop. Atlanta could trade out of that pick. I doubt it though. I know the Atlanta Falcons, man. They always think they can win. They're so like them and the Broncos. They just don't believe in the rebuild. They never want to rebuild. They just always think they can win. Which, listen, I respect it, but that's just not how the league works. Every team has to rebuild. So, unless you're New England, but
no, yeah, it's very exciting. I'm looking forward to it. So
by the way, wait, can I make one more point?
yeah, add on. Go ahead.
How big of a genius, and you have to admit it, and everyone has to admit it, would Howie Roseman look like if we ended up taking Devontae Smith at 12 when everyone freaked out because we didn't think we'd get him even at 6 and we end up getting him at 12? Plus a first round pick, that's a genius move. Say all you want about Howie Roseman, but that would be a genius move.
If it was to happen, I don't think it will be, but like you said, if it was to happen and Smith was there at 12, then yes, I would give Howie Roseman props. But even Howie Roseman, when he made that move, did not know that Devontae Smith was going to be there at 12.
Yeah, but I always make this point to people when it happens every year, and I can name every single guy in the draft that it happens to. Every year, there's a guy that kills in like his last game of college and the national championship, whatever, and everyone's like, that guy's top 3. And then slowly, months go by and whatever, and the prospects come along. That guy's still top 5, and then it keeps going and keeps going. That guy's top 10, and all of a sudden it falls out. Remember a guy by the name of DK Metcalf who killed it at the combine? He was supposed to be a top 5 pick. And then he started falling off, and they're like, "Oh, he'll be top 10," and then he doesn't even get drafted in the first round. It's the way it's like anything. It's like the hype around anything. They're just hyped up.
Yeah. I mean, and all these experts, and they have their ideas and their breakdowns and all this kind of stuff. No one really knows until you get the guy in your organization. You see what type of player he is, how he works, and all that kind of stuff, and how he fits in with your scheme. So no one really knows anything, and nothing's a guarantee.
I mean, these guys could have terrible personalities and horrible work ethic. I mean, a guy that the perfect example is Jamarcus Russell, number 1 pick in 2007, didn't come to any of the training camps because he was holding out, got paid a ton of money, comes back, he's almost 300 pounds, and then they gave him a tape. John DeFilippo, remember that name? Our quarterback coach when we won the Super Bowl, gave him a blank tape and said, "Hey, watch this tonight and tell me which plays you like." And then when he came in the next day, he said, "Oh, I like them all. Let's run them all." And he's like, it was a blank tape. I don't know if you know that story. The number 1 overall pick.
That before. I thought they gave him a binder and told him to like look at.
No, they gave him a VCR and we're like, go tell me what, there's like 30 plays on here. Tell me which ones you like. The next day he's like, I like them all. And he's like, well, what do you like? Like 6, 7 of them. He's like, no, I like them all. Let's run them all. And John DeFilippo was like, the tapes were blank.
That's awesome. He got his money and then he was done.
Yeah.
He got his guaranteed money.
Like, didn't even try. Like, he came to training camp with like 300 pounds, like a 300-pound quarterback. They could have had Calvin Johnson with that pick.
No, but it's gonna be exciting. Bryce, great episode tonight.
I mean, I want to say it's the best day of the year. It's my Christmas Eve because I'm Jewish.
National holiday. It's a national holiday.
It's literally. I honestly think it's the best day of the year. I get so excited for the draft. It's like I'm getting drafted. I get so excited.
Even last year with everything being online and stuff like that, I remember sitting in my home and still watching.
Well, last year was like the best. Last year was the best because there was no sports at all for months. So last year was actually like the most exciting draft because it was like something that was like.
Dude, I still remember that phone call. You called me. I was in my garage and Jalen Hurts was drafted by the Eagles, and we were just like, "You gotta be kidding me!" We couldn't believe it. But I remember that like it was yesterday. But I'm excited to see. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that phone call.
By the way, two big names no one's talking about that are going to be quick impact players. I just want to mention them real quick. Najee Harris and Travis Etienne are studs. They're going to impact whatever team they get drafted to. I've been reading that I believe the Steelers are going to take Najee Harris with the 24th pick. I think that's the right move for them. Mm-hmm. And I also heard listen, man, if they get him, if the Buffalo Bills, I heard, are interested in Travis Etienne, I know they keep taking running backs, but I think he might solve the puzzle. I think
Can
he
you
might,
imagine that offense?
especially, I mean, Zach Moss had a solid season last year. Obviously, Devin Singletary's kind of out. Like I said, running backs are super replaceable. That's why you don't want to draft them too high.
Diggs is a top 5 wide receiver in the league.
Yeah, no doubt. He's definitely top 5. I've always been a huge fan of Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if they can get a guy like Travis Etienne, that could be a scary, scary, scary offense. And also, look, this is a huge, huge, huge draft for the Arizona Cardinals because they're at that make or break where they could push to make a move. Another team that could push to make a huge move, to look forward. I also heard the Saints want to trade up. That's crazy. Don't know why they want to do that. The Saints are going to be the worst team in the NFL over the next 4 years because they have no cap and nothing. And one more thing, I know I keep talking. I'm sorry. I heard the Washington football team. The Washington football team is looking to trade up, possibly to take a quarterback.
I know. I did hear that today. Could you imagine?
And that team is.
Could you imagine?
That team's really good. If they get Lance or Fields, man, I don't want to see those guys in my division.
For years, they're going to be loaded. Years.
Yeah, that team's set along with.
They're young.
And plus, they have a phenomenal coaching staff. Jack Del Rio and Ron Rivera are just 2 unbelievable coaches.
2 experienced head coaches that have been at the highest level.
I mean, Jack Del Rio to me is could be a head coach right now, and he has been. He hasn't had great success, but to me, he's a head coach that it's like a steal having him as a defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator, whatever one.
I totally forgot about the football team moving up. They definitely could.
Yeah, I heard they're looking to trade up, even though they should roll with Fist Magic. Love that guy. He's the man.
I know. Beast, absolute beast.
And dude, I am fired up for tomorrow. This is going to be so much fun. It's going to be a great draft.
I know. I'm excited too. I'm looking forward to it. I'm interested to see who trades first because I love trades. In fantasy, I was always the first person to trade players just because I wouldn't even get to the first game of the season.
You love.
I love trades, so I'm looking forward to that.
I always look forward to the Eagles pick, man. I always get super excited just to have them stab me.
Each year, I feel like they let me down. The hype, they build it up and they let me down each year. So I'm hoping they pick a guy that
I just want a player. I want a player I can go get his jersey. Honestly, I really do.
I want a player that you could truly root for. I'm not saying I didn't, wasn't rooting for Jalen Hurts last year when he came in, but it was just and Jalen Reagor either. Everyone hyped up. We thought we were getting Justin Jefferson. You know what I mean?
I hate Jalen Reagor. I hated the pick.
I think Reagor will have a bounce back year this year just because the expectations won't be as high. So I think he'll be able to bounce back second year with Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni might be able to work him around in that new offense. But you build up these expectations. The fan base is looking for that type of talent to bring in. Imagine what that could do for the fan base.
No, I agree. I think the Eagles, though, I think they're sitting nice, though. I think whatever they take, I think they're either going to take wide receiver, they're going to take cornerback. And I think whatever one they take, they have to make sure they get the opposite in the second round. So if they take cornerback, they got to make sure they get Elijah Moore in the second round. If they take Devontae Smith, they got to make sure they get, like I said,
and like you said, I was right there. I mean, like what you just said. If they do select Horn, I think the wide receiver class this year in the draft is better than the cornerback class.
I agree.
Therefore, I wouldn't be too upset if they take Horn over Smith because you could still get a Terrence Marshall in the second round. You can get Elijah Moore. You can get a player that
Elijah Moore is to me a first round talent that's going to go in the mid second round. He's going to be.
My only thing about those selecting a cornerback and taking a risk with getting a wide receiver in the second round is our wide receiver room right now as it is not strong at all. It's extremely weak. I mean, who on the what defense is going to be scared of? No offense, Greg Ward. You know what I mean?
You're forgetting Travis Fulgham.
Stud. You're forgetting about J. Jaw.
I doubt he's on the team next year. I really doubt it.
Oh, yeah. Well, Bryce, good show, good episode tonight. We covered a lot. You still
also, I was going to say I want to tell the people we're going to post tomorrow our first double 2-episode week. We got it.
Double whammy.
I mean, me and Jim are big. We're big fire guys. We love to get fired up. We're going to be fired up after the draft. Hopefully,
adrenaline's going to be flowing. Thoughts are just coming out.
We're going to be getting an episode out for you guys for sure.
Yep, we're going to do it. We're going to do a first round draft recap. We're also going to do our grades for the Eagles and other teams around the league. So listen in, stay tuned for this episode. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bryce, thanks for coming on. Awesome show.
Thank you, guys. Go Birds. Let's go, baby.
Go Birds.